Speech today, the State of the Nation address by the President, was a very short, brief speech, but very hopeful brief. It has come at a time when there's a lot of confusion in the country, there's a lot of agitation, people are really making a lot of noise about the state of the economy and about the state of the nation. And the President has actually come out very clearly, and he has addressed very clearly quite about a number of issues that is actually becoming a worry to Kenyans. He has addressed the question of education, he has addressed the question of housing problems, he has addressed the question of food security, the President has addressed the question of abductions and enforced disappearances, the President has addressed the question of corruption, and finally when he talked about corruption, he has basically made a very, very serious declaration that the Adani program of expansion of the JKIA and also the expansion of lines by the Adani group through Ketraco power lines, he said they have all been cancelled. And the President said one of the reasons why he's cancelling it is because of what is happening all over the world and agitation about Adani. But by and large, the President has said he has listened to Kenyans. A lot of Kenyans have shown expression of dissatisfaction. They have shown a lot of anger towards these Adani contractors, and they have demanded that the country doesn't get into this deal with Adani. And so the President said today he listens to his people, and he says throughout his journey since he became the President, he has listened to Kenyans, he has listened to all the groups, including the churches, the teachers, and many other stakeholders, and therefore he says he's going to continue listening to Kenyans, and through listening he's learning one or more two things each day. And he said, he promised whatever he learned, he is going to transform depending to what the Kenyans and he talked at length about democracy, Kenya being a democracy, and he expressed clear indication that he doesn't have any problems with Kenyans demonstrating against their government. He doesn't have any problem with Kenyans expressing themselves very strongly about the performance of his government. And he said that is what democracy means, and he said there is nothing anybody can do about that. The fact that the democracy has grown in Kenya and Kenyans are who they are, expressing themselves democratically. So the President was very clear about demonstrations and the right by Kenyans to hold peaceful demonstrations. He has also talked about the current modern times when there is a lot of flow of information, there is a lot of flow of communication, but he has also warned Kenyans that while we have revolutionized in the way we communicate and the way information is passed, there is also the danger that there is a lot of miscommunication, misinformation, disinformation, and people using social media to really disinform and misinform Kenyans, and also at times inside Kenyans. So he said the question of communication and passing information is a double-edged sword. It's a very good thing for a growing democracy like Kenya, but it also can be a very, very big source of incitement and disharmony in the country. So the President talked about food security and the fact that out of the 17 sugar factories that are operating in Kenya, he said basically all the 17 are now functioning. And he also talked about 4 new factories which are being established. He talked about the strengthening of the dollar against the shilling in terms of an indication that the economy is improving. And he said, well, when he took over the dollar was about 167 against shilling. And today it's the exchange rate's about 129 shillings per dollar. And all those, he said, are indications that actually we are on the right track. And he was very hopeful that Kenya is going to, he initially elucidated about where we had come from, a country he had inherited, the debts, and the fact that all the debts were maturing at the same time. And he carried pride in the fact that despite some countries within the region having defaulted, Kenya has not been able to default. And he says the consequences would have been dire if Kenya had defaulted with all the challenges that we are having now. He talked about the university funding model, and the way a lot of universities were actually struggling when he took over, and the way they are putting in place strategies to make sure that there's a turnaround in terms of our university education. They talked about having a gap of 110 teachers, 110,000 teachers when he took over, a gap of 110,000 teachers teaching our schools. But now we've already recruited 56,000 in the last financial year, and by January the president promised that we're going to recruit another 20,000. So by and large, in brief, the president's speech was very, very positive. It was very inspiring, and it was a very hopeful, forward-looking speech, which I think is going to inspire a lot of Kenyans to have faith again in the fact that our country is in the right direction, and that our country is going to turn things around, and that the economy is going to improve. And of course, there are a lot of other things that we would have wished the president had talked about at length. The question of particularly the droughts in northern Kenya, and the fact that livestock industry is also struggling. As a member representing a region from northeastern, I would have wished the president to talk a little bit when he discussed about food security. I would have wished he had touched something on the livestock industry, so that we know how the livestock sector is also doing in this country, because from where I come from, I know the livestock industry is really struggling because of the drought that has been there. And other than that, of course, the question of insecurity along our border with Somalia and Ethiopia is an issue that has been a problem to us for a long time. I wish the president had also touched on a little about the insecurity along our borders and how the government is planning to deal with the menace of Al-Shabaab and other insecure regions in the country.